And so they move to the house of bread. They're in Jerusalem. And Ruth gets an idea. You can't get ideas unless you're in this place that Ruth is in. Naomi didn't have any ideas. She didn't have any ideas. But Ruth got up one morning, she said, you know what? I'm going to go out to the field and glean or pick the harvest, the wheat harvest. I'm going to go out in the field and see if I can, get some wheat for us so we can make bread and have something to eat, and then hopefully sell some, right? And we'll have money. And what's interesting, Ruth was enterprising and respectful, because she recognized that as she was from Moab and as she was a immigrant, right, she recognized that she didn't have the same rights and privileges, and so she couldn't just go to anybody's land and just farm. So what she decided to do was to just follow behind the other gleaners, because she figured, you know what, they're going to, miss some things, and there might be, just some things I can grab, right? Again, keeping this positive attitude that we're going to be okay. Right, keeping this positive attitude, and it reminds me so much when we think about the spirit of the immigrants in this country, which technically we all are, right? You recognize that spirit of just being willing, okay, no, this may not be the most ideal thing for me, but for many of our immigrants, they understood that I will wash those floors, or I will clean that bathroom so that my children can go to college and have a better experience. Yes, yes. And so Ruth was showing us that same enterprising spirit, and was willing to do that, being respectful, not being too proud, because she loved her mother-in-law and she wanted to provide for them. And so she spent the day gleaning. And they were taking a break, and it just so happened, and this is again how I love how Source works, it just so happens that the field that she picked belonged to a man named Boaz. And Boaz, as it said in the text, was a relative or a kinsman of her father-in-law, Elimelech. Now that's very interesting. I love how when we're in this space, we're guided. Sometimes we don't even know what we're really being guided to, but it's like, just go over there. Inspired idea, inspired action. And it turned out the field that she went to was the best field she could have ever gone to, because it was owned by Elimelech's kinsman, and we'll talk about what that actually means. But as they were taking a break, Boaz, he shows up on the scene, and he sees a woman who he's never seen before. He knows she's not from around there, and he asks, who is this woman? And they're like, oh, that's Naomi's daughter-in-law, Ruth. And he was like, oh, Ruth, yeah, I heard about her. I heard about how, she chose to come with Naomi, and she stuck by her side, and I think that's just a beautiful thing. I tell y'all what, let her pick and glean from the field as much as she wants. Don't bother her. Give her her own space. Let her work just as you work, right? Let her pick just as you pick. Interesting. As she was willing to humble herself and recognizing that she could just pull from maybe the scraps, right? She recognized that she could get something. Out of doing that, she was recognized and being elevated to an equal status. Although she was an immigrant, and this is why I say that we can look to this story, and some of our elected officials or wannabe elected officials can look to this story and say, what does the Bible, what does Christianity, what does this text have to say about how we should treat our immigrants? This is what Boaz did. He celebrated her. He affirmed her. He didn't treat her as a foreigner. He didn't treat her as less than. He didn't call her names. He didn't judge her. If we want to use the text for something positive, if we want to use this text, otherwise we just got to eliminate it. But since so many people in this country are still reading the Bible and interpreting life based on this, then let's use this text affirmatively. This is how we treat our brothers and sisters. In truth, we're one family on one planet, right? So there really is no immigrant or foreigner. All of that stuff is just separation. But as we recognize that there are those that are coming from other countries, just as, again, on all of us, our ancestors on some level, wanted or unwanted, arrived here from other countries. We have a way that we can treat the immigrants.